here. So this is from Chris Hobie's apartment. Do you see the lovely view? Okay. Including the Freedom Tower that's going up right now. Okay, so first we have some technical notes. If you have any questions, please type them in your chat window. I have disabled audio for the microphones, everybody here. Otherwise, it gets too loud in the room. So again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat window. I'm assuming that all of you can hear me now, and it's wonderful to see so many people in here. I see all your names again. Let's see what else. If you have any issues during the webinar, you can email Jessica, that address just put up, or you can email climatecampaign@globe.gov. So either one will work to get you pretty quick help with this. Okay, so let's go over a few announcements here. Well, first off, welcome to the first webinar. I'm glad to see all of you here. And our career speaker tonight is Sharon Kenny, and she's in the room. Our teacher presenters are Leigh Jenkins and Coryea, who are both also on Leigh's account. And we're glad to have everybody here. So our general overview of the webinar tonight is to do a few announcements, then have our career speaker, teacher presenters, then a very quick wrap up. And again, if you have any questions during this time, go ahead and type them in the chat window. So first, some announcements. For the Student Climate Research Campaign, we had an e-badges announcement. So if any of you participated in phase 1, which all of you did by being an L2R, you can get a badge for your profile. So I have 2 badges shown here. One is the SCRC phase 1, and the second one is the L2R badge, which is all of you will get on your pages before too long. Then we have 2 intensive observation periods coming up, or actually happening right now in the month of September. One is a Great Global Investigation of Climate. The other one is Phenology and Climate. So any of you doing any of the atmosphere ones or Green Up, Green Down, those are all happening this month. And we've had quite a few webinars. We had one yesterday. So I hope some of you were able to attend the SCRC webinar yesterday. And I believe our next one is in about 3 weeks. The dates are all listed on the SCRC webpage. Next up, equipment. I hope that all of you have your equipment or know where it is. It's all been shipped, except for some photometers. We were having a vendor issue with some photometers, so I will let you know as soon as I know anything. Again, some photometers are the only equipment that has not shipped and should not be there yet. Okay, next, Adobe Connect. I want to remind you all again that if you want to have some time to talk to other teachers, other classes, you're more than welcome to use Adobe Connect. We can set it up so you can have webcams going, and you can have the chat room, and it'll be all your own at that time. I just need to log in. You can definitely use it. So again, if you want to use Adobe Connect, feel free to let me know and I'll make it available for you. Then also we have the discussion boards and blogs. I saw a blog from Anne, so thank you, Anne. And I just posted a discussion board question. So if you could check it out, it's posted there. I'm going to try and do them about every webinar so I can remind you at the webinars we have the discussion board questions. So again, check that one out. Feel free to add your responses. I really appreciate it. And yeah, coming out Green Down over here. Jen, we just did start our own Green Down site at the GPO office, and we have a box elder we're going to watch. And it's pretty exciting. Oh, and you can look at the protocols online. I will definitely, I'll link to where the protocols are so you can see what is all in there. Okay, so any questions on any announcement type stuff? Again, equipment should all be there or be there very shortly. Adobe Connect, let me know if you want to use it. It's here for your use. And then the badges I'll get on your pages before too long. Any news about working with hydrology data? Do you mean for visualization, Bob? Jessica might know. I've been out of the office all week, as you know. So check with, I mean, she might know something. As far as I know, he's still transferring it over. Okay, so now we have our career speaker. Sharon Kenny is here, and Sharon, you are now ready to go. Your presenter, so you can start your webcam. You should be able to speak as well.
Hello, can you hear me?
Here we go.
Oh, perfect. Okay, is this a good volume also?
It's a great volume, but we can't see you. Make sure you share your camera.
Okay, can you see me now?
Nope, make sure you press share camera.
I did.
Oh, yeah, it's not working on there. Oh, there you go. We can see you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Sharon.
So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sharon Kenny. I'm here to talk to you about geology and civil engineering. And I have my email right there if you have any questions after this presentation that you would like to have answered, or if your students are very interested in these areas, I'll be more than happy to communicate by email. Here you see some logos. This is NOAA, NASA, the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, WHOI, and PRI, which stands for Project Resources Inc. NCAR, of course, you know them, and EPA. These are all representing agencies and private sector where I worked in the past. And right now I'm working at EPA, Environmental Protection Agency in Region 3. So I love being a geologist and being a civil engineer. I think myself as a nerd, and as you can see right there, that it's this desire to learn, to have the opportunity to do new things. And as a girl nerd, I usually incorporate myself into learning new things and obsessing about science and physics. And so these are things that maybe some of your students can identify with. Another thing is that I love what I do. I love my job. One of the reasons is because I get to apply the knowledge and also to solve problems. I think that's the key, and able to look at a solution from different areas and able to collaborate with others and finding ways to solve a problem. So many of you will be thinking about engineering, and you may have a lot of knowledge about what an engineer does and what type of engineers they are. But a geologist, not many people may know a geologist. And here I'm presenting some images and of what things that a geologist is. So, for example, you can see here a person standing in the volcano Mount Etna in Italy and studying the insides of our planet of Earth. And you can see also the next image where some geologists are looking at the faults in the surface of the Earth after an earthquake. I myself, I did some work with underground volcanoes. I was looking at different type of rocks from mid-ocean ridges, and that image right there represents Alvin, one of the submersible submarines that are that belong, I think, to MIT and Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, and they do a lot of sampling from very deep parts of the Earth and the ocean. And one of the things I can present here in this XKCD slide is when we realize the magnitude of what the Earth is, and in science, we just are amazed. And some people freak out and say, "Whoa, there's molten lava beneath my feet." So the next slide. So what do I do as a geologist? Well, most of the times I look at maps, and either surface maps or geological maps, trying to identify where the source of a contamination is. At where I'm working right now at the EPA, we have people that are very specialized in this task. They are experts, subject matter experts, and they are the ones who provide the technical support to people like me. That way I can concentrate in other areas, such as being being a manager for the site, or looking at other types of parts of the project. But mainly a geologist just look, in geologists sitting in my place will be looking at that, looking at maps, and trying to understand under the surface, and what type of rocks are there, where is the groundwater at, and if there is a location where some tanks or have been placed in the past, or some waste has been dumped, then they can see where a plume might be migrating to. It looks like somebody is having a trouble with slides. Is that correct? I'm going to go to the next slide. Julie, it looks like somebody, some people may not have access to looking at the presentation. There's something I can do from this end, let me know. So what does a civil engineer do? And, I want you to look at the left of this slide, and some jokes by engineers that are working in the field of transportation. And the last one, the rotary super collider, it's one that I identify myself a lot of times when I'm trying to go somewhere, but I end up in a loop and all cut up. So civil engineers, they work with the construction. They look at ways to identify, for example, here a map of France, and it's showing the different levels of lead that are in this area near Paris. We make large bridges and large dams. We work in the oil sector also. And, these are examples of the magnitude of the projects that we work with. The photo in the bottom left represents the initial construction of the three gorges in China, in their river, when they were constructing this dam. So what have I done as a civil engineer? I have some pictures of me doing different things. One of them is in a helicopter. I was at Louisiana, helping after the Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Rita. We were doing some surveys of the area to see if we could find where large contamination was, and to provide support to different areas in the ground. I recently was invited to give another presentation. As you can see me there in the top one, I was in DC participating in a panel with the Science and Engineering Festival. One at the bottom, I was working in construction with a consulting firm, PRI, and I'm the third person from left to right, and you can see me also there mining a boat at one of the areas in Louisiana, also with after the hurricane. This is one of the things that we also do as civil engineers. We try to make companies understand that there are some that although karma, as it says here, karma it's not real. Regulation is, and I have worked in the past trying to assist companies into understanding the regulation and seeing ways that they could do better, that they could not only be on compliance and do the minimums, but also go beyond that and into their responsibility with their community, with the environment. You know, many engineers. Here a few. One of them, I'm going to start with Jeannie Leavitt. She was the first woman that was accepted to be a fighter pilot. You can see her there with an F-15. And this was kind of recent. This was 1993. So we are looking into, after the movie Top Gun in the late 80s, I love that movie. The role of the woman was limited in the armed forces, and it wasn't until 1993 that the woman was accepted to pilot these planes. The second person, it's Lonnie Johnson. He is also an aerospace engineer, and your kids may know him very well because he was the inventor of the Super Soaker. Everybody knows also Bill Nye, the science guy. We have at the bottom left, it's Dolph Lundgren. He was in a movie with, I think it's Rocky IV, Fifth. And he is a chemical engineer from Sweden. We have Neil Armstrong, also an engineer. He passed away recently. And Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter studied at the Naval Academy. And back then, when he did study there, the term naval engineering, nuclear engineering was not being used yet, but the type of work he was doing was also related with engineering. I agree with Deb with their comments. Okay, so getting here was not easy. My parents were really poor. I was born in Puerto Rico, and being a nerd back in the 80s was not easy. As you can see, I was very overweight. I used glasses. I think the hardest part was having these dreams and hello, Carlos. Yeah, Puerto Rico. I think the most difficult portion of it is just wanting to do something and instead of being able to explore a book or look at my encyclopedia, that was one of the things that I loved to do. I had to go to work at the age of 13 to pay for school supplies. So one of the things I want you guys to tell your students is that if I was able to make it, they can make it too. I think the key for my success was that I didn't give up, and I think that I kept trying and saying, even though I'm in this adversity, I'm gonna give all I can. So, yeah, the 80s. That was a really tough time in regards to looking at the challenges we were having with the environment. We had the Chernobyl disaster, the Challenger disaster, the Exxon Valdez event. We had the Bhopal, India, the explosion. And all these events, it was not only the environment that was endangered, it was people, their health. We're still seeing the effects from the explosion in Chernobyl. We're seeing again what happened with the oil spill in the Gulf just recently, and one of the things that I was able to understand from these events is that it was human error. It was not a hurricane that went by or a tsunami that just disabled a plant. These were situations where it could have been avoided if we were, if we had, if we would have thought the risk before it even happened. So, hello, Michael. Yes. Good to see that you were also part of the civil engineering group. So I graduated from high school in 1988, and I went to University of Puerto Rico at Mayagüez to do my bachelor's degree. And from there, I got my master's degree in geology, specializing in geochemistry at the University of Florida. Go Gators! And then I did another master's degree, and it was in the University of Colorado at Boulder. This one was in the civil engineering. It's one of the things I want to present here to your students is that we not only we have to believe in ourselves and in order to move forward, but also we need to allow others to help us. And I had two great mentors, two professors that worked with me and that gave me their support, and that's how I was able to make it. One is the one on the left is Michael Perfit. He's from the University of Florida, and from the person on the right is Henry Dick. He's from MIT and the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. Also, two of my friends, they were there when I needed them the most to motivate me, to help me understand some material. And this was Darisabel Perez in Puerto Rico and Rula Abudalo, the University of Colorado. So this is why we need scientists and engineers, because as I showed you in the slide about 1980, the 80s, we were having some acute problems. We were experiencing large problems, and now it looks like we're having even more challenges and they're in a larger scale. We're talking about the climate changing. We are talking about coral reefs dying. I was just in Puerto Rico this past August, and it's sad. It's sad just to look, just do some snorkeling, and coral reef is dead. It's 90% dead. It's so sad. We are experiencing drought here in the United States, and yes, that in the bird stomach is plastic. It's garbage. It's some birds and some in other marine species, they cannot recognize something that is not food, and they think that these lively colored plastic pieces are. So they die of starvation because they're not putting nutrients in them. And yes. So that's my presentation, and I want to give special thanks to my family, my two kids, the oldest one, the teenagers. They practiced with me, and my husband who helped me also some logistics. And one of the things I want to say also is that this is an informal presentation. It's not related to the official position of the EPA or the United States on the matters that I discussed today. So thank you for your time, and thank you, Julie, for having me here. Appreciate it.
If anybody has any questions, go ahead and type those in the chat window. Also, you can post them in a discussion forum, and we will share them with Sharon. If you don't have any right now, but have some later.
One of the things that I want to point out is all the pictures that I used in the, I have the URLs if they were online, or all this information I have it documented. So if somebody's looking to learn more about a specific topic or wants to know where I found a certain photograph, I can share that with you. Yeah, the picture of the drought is really sad. Thank you, Anne. Let me see if I see the presentation, other questions in the past. See Carlos from Puerto Rico, and are you in Puerto Rico right now, Carlos? And Joanne is in Pennsylvania, really nearby. Cool. Oh, good. Mm-hmm. Florida, yes, as you know, I went to the University of Florida, so yeah. So I think that's it. If so, anybody wants to
hey, Sharon,
email me later
then there
with the.
She asked, was the sea that turned red in China?
Oh, it's a mystery. They do not know. They don't know that's one of the rivers. I can't remember which one. Let me see if I find the URL really quickly. That is Yangtze River. And the date was this month. I was trying to open a website here. But if you, yes, I can't find the information directly right now. It just did the photo URL instead of the whole. But yes, this was in the news just about a week ago. That the ocean turned red and nobody knows what's happening. Hopefully they will have an answer by now. Yes, it was in China.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. I'm going to now switch it to Leigh and Carol. So again, I appreciate you coming here today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Deanna Johns, also for your comments. Take care.
Okay, so I'm going to switch Leigh and Cheryl on, or sorry, Leigh and Carol on. Okay, oh, wrong Leigh. Sorry, hold on a second. Okay, Leigh, you are up. I'm getting your presentation up right now. Okay, Leigh, can't hear you if you're talking.
How's that?
I'm starting to hear you. Oh, there you go.
Okay, can you hear us?
I can't. Are you sharing the webcam?
We should be.
Make sure you put share webcam on the bottom. Oh, there we go. Okay.
How's that? Hello.
Okay. We can see you. Okay, I'm going to mute myself now.
Great. Can everyone hear us? Hi, everyone. Hello. We are here in West Virginia. We're both at my high school, Berkeley Springs High School, and we figured that we'd have better luck with the Wi-Fi here at my high school. So we wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been doing for the last 3.5 weeks since school started. We started school August 20th. And we had some really crazy summer weather that we thought that you may have heard about, but we thought we might share with you some photographs of some of the weather that we've had. What we have up on the screen right now is a storm that struck the East Coast, or the whole Mid-Atlantic region, on August 29th?
Or June 29th.
Oh, I'm sorry, June 29th, excuse me. And about 16 people were killed from Ohio to New Jersey. You can see that down on the bottom. In a storm that is called a derecho. I was actually on my way to Colorado, so Carol experienced it firsthand.
It was very, very severe, very sudden. I know we spoke about this at the meetings in Boulder, and it's been a great talking point with our students because I was here, fortunately, and the students were also, so they come to this with firsthand knowledge that, yes, this was happening, and the trees went down on my yard, and everyone, it really generated a tremendous amount of information to exchange stories and talk about stories. And at the beginning of our school year, we always get, 1 or 2 new students, and some of our students have come from areas, not exactly in the Pawpaw, Berkeley Springs area, but in the Ohio areas, the surrounding region. And they also could share that information. So it didn't matter that they weren't right in the communities where the school, where the event was happening, but they could share part of that weather-related event. So it's, and also just to see the sheer size of this, the students knew this was going on, but to see, 450 miles, some kids would say, wow, that's longer than we drove, on our vacation. So they could put kind of a reality to that.
Okay, and then we also talked with our students about the record heat that we experienced this past summer. That was something that they could really relate to. Again, I was in Colorado on my way to Colorado, so I managed to dodge a lot of the heat this past summer, but my students, of course, experienced it, so it has been a great talking point. Why has it been so hot? We haven't suffered the same kind of drought that you all have in the West, but we have had that record heat, which is pretty miserable in a humid region, such as the Mid-Atlantic.
And another point with one of the protocols that we're working on is just basically collecting just local atmospheric data. And the students have been going out on a daily basis and collecting, just basic temperature, just reading a thermometer, understanding, getting a concept of the, Fahrenheit and Celsius scale. One of the things we have been working on is just getting them to use the equipment properly and having these numbers and being able to say, okay, this is what it was like in July, and this is what our temperatures were like in August, and just today, 46 degrees this morning, 86 degrees this afternoon. So our ambient temperatures are changing during the day, and students are measuring that. And we just got our weather station, so we're pretty excited about that. We don't have it up and running yet. We have to do a little protocol with the school to get permission to post, put the post in and what have you. And part of our building committee, I'm sure other schools are looking at that situation as well. But now the students can take what data was collected before they came to school, what data has been collected since they've been in school, and we're starting to generate, some actual, some real numbers, which is very exciting.
Okay, and these were just some of the significant events that occurred in June. I just found this on the internet. They do talk about that severe storm that hit the Mid-Atlantic, the dry conditions in the western part of the United States, a lot of flash flooding, an active storm up in Washington, and even Alaska and Hawaii were experiencing some unusual weather this past summer.
One of the things that we are able to do when we're at the beginning of school, it's always hurricane season. So we've just been looking at more closely to Hurricane Isaac, because that, of course, we've got heavy rainfall from that. And our next slide, which we'll shift to, this is just local flooding we had a severe flash flood right here in Berkeley Springs, and I live a half hour to the west. I did not receive a drop of rain at my house. And my students, who live probably another 15 miles further west of where my home is, did not get any rain from this. But they have friends and relatives and cousins in Berkeley Springs, and they were amazed, like totally astonished that, you know, a half hour down the road where they had been just that previous evening, this whole area is flooded out. On the picture on the left, that's a municipal swimming pool that we have in our community. The picture to the lower right is just a local ice cream shop, and the standing water was because of a small, as the river, the Capean River drains to the Potomac, just totally overflooded its banks, and the community hasn't seen a flood like this in 20 years.
And I live to the south, and we didn't have a drop of rain either. We actually were driving through this storm on a Saturday evening. We were heading north, and by the time we got just over the Potomac River, which is about 6 miles north of town, the storm just completely stopped. So it was almost like it was this isolated storm that just stayed right over Berkeley Springs for a long period of time and caused all of this flood damage to a lot of our downtown businesses. So this is something that, you know, we've been able to talk to the students about, which has been really interesting.
Now, there's our main corridor, which is a small 2-lane highway, Route 522, and if you recall, when we were introducing ourselves in July, one of the photographs we showed was of the area near, as you come right into the downtown community, and there was a huge rock slide on that area, and that is now just being reconstructed. They reopened the road, but that was, you know, just local damage from that. It's all well and good, you know, talk to students and say, oh yes, you know, there are mudslides, and these are the events that happen in these, you know, catastrophic events. But now our students, unfortunately, for the first time, can see that. And I know Anne is out there, and I know we talked about where you were, and that you could probably see a tremendous amount of flooding where you were also.
Okay, so let me just start out by saying that having only been in school for a little over, I guess we're in our 4th week, we have not, up at Berkeley Springs High School, have not had a lot of opportunity to get, you know, into our project yet, but I've been kind of setting the stage. We've been talking a lot about scientific method. We've been reviewing measurement. I have mostly sophomores, and trying to get an idea of what they learned as 9th graders, teaching them how to take accurate temperature readings. We've just started our research protocol, our research projects, and have brainstormed a little bit on some of that odd summer weather. I will be administering the student survey very soon. We haven't been able to get into our computer lab yet. And we are just beginning to discuss research design. My botany students, I'm teaching a botany course for the first time, and they will be using the Green Up, Green Down protocol. We've already actually identified an area that we want to be looking at. We've got a grove of pin oak trees. And my biology students will be using the ozone protocol for their class project. And I have a picture of some of our students. We've been working on an outdoor classroom. They spent Tuesday, which was the day, what we call the day of caring, building this outdoor classroom. They put together 6 picnic tables, and if you can see it, they put together some benches on a little hill that's going to be kind of like a little amphitheater. We're hoping to put our weather station in this area. You can also see the grove of pin oaks up here on the hill, where we will be doing our Green Up, Green Down with my botany students. The kids really got into this project. They were self-starters. You know, they jumped right in and started doing the work, which is encouraging. And I think I've got some really good students to work with this year.
And here in Pawpaw, we've been, you know, basically doing, you know, many of the same things, working through just the basic scientific method. We've been using soils as our prime example. It's easy to bring into the classroom. We've been going out and designating some soil sites. one of the most difficult things is for students to realize that the soil that we have in our region, what parent material is. So we've been working just with some basic functional information about what parent material is, why the soil in West Virginia is primarily shale, and why certain crops are or are not grown here. We're not a big farming community here. So students that have lived in other areas or have family in other areas, they'll say, oh, the soil is really different than it is where my uncle lives. And so that's what we want them to realize. We've been actually calculating dew point and daily temperatures every day. And we're also heading toward the direction of working with the ozone protocol, collecting the atmospheric data, collecting the ozone data. And just, we're getting the students to realize that this data is going to be put somewhere where they can actually use this information. I'm the only science teacher in our school, and I know that trying to decide which class would do what part of the project was difficult, and I wanted everyone to do everything, and that reality, you can't do that. So I have certain students, I've broken them into groups, and I have a group of students that, even though everyone is collecting data for soils, one group in the class will be designated to be responsible for helping to input that data into the computer. And then another group will be, more of the focus group for the green up, green down. And that way everyone will be sort of responsible for something. And that way every class has, more of a designated focus. And that's been actually really effective. The students will ask me, we still have our ordinary content standards that we have to meet, and we're trying to meet as many of them, through projects like this. And last year we put in a rain garden, and the students now can go out, and this rain garden is, quadrupled in size. It has flowering plants. We did have a few severe storms just before at the very beginning of school, and the kids actually said to me, can we go out and see if the rain garden is doing what it's supposed to be doing? And that's exactly what I want the kids to be doing. So planting trees, and the picture on the lower right-hand corner is the rain garden as we were, digging it out, and the photo above is the plants. And I'll try to post onto the Globe site what the rain garden looks like today. So it's really neat that these kids have had, multiple years of, following through on things. So that's, I guess, basically, in a nutshell for me. The student surveys, we have had all but maybe 10 of our students have completed the survey, so I'm happy to report that. And we're, again, just trying to get kids to generate questions, and I have a little question box where students can put questions in. So that's, for me, just getting those kids to realize that they're part of some tangible project. I've shown them the Globe site. I want them to realize, this is, we're not just like sending things into the ether. That they realize that, hey, we really are on board for things, and they see other students from other countries, and they're like, well, how come they're doing this? And I'm like, well, because we're all doing it together. We're just in different places. But because of technology, which of course that we've just gone through a conversation on how science and technology are so interrelated, we can share all this data worldwide, and it doesn't matter what language you speak. The data, the data is the same. And that fabulous poster that you've sent us is hanging on my wall in the classroom, and I find kids kind of hanging out in front of it at the beginning of the class and saying, well, if we live where the rainforest is, this is what would be going on. So just getting that conversation generated in the classroom has been pretty exciting. It does feel really daunting and overwhelming, I'll be honest with you. I think to myself, gosh, are we ever going to really put this together? But I think the kids are going to really, kind of generate the excitement, and then I'm excited with them, so it makes my job easier too.
So do you all have any questions for us?
I see some questions. Yeah, actually, instead of doing a lab, for sure, if you can bring in newspaper and lay the soil samples down. We've just done a little sample on porosity, and we did a quick sample with just sand, silt, and clay. And we had some clay actually from when I was away this summer, or some soil, and it had a lot more clay in it. So the kids have been comparing. Wow, this stuff is really sticky. just, I mean, just even these like aha things where they're figuring this out, and I'm just kind of letting them, feel things. I'm sure my principal walks through the classroom and goes, "What are they doing now?" As the benches are completely covered in newspaper. We won't be serving crab anytime soon, but awesome. Oh, for Carlos, the rain garden. Yeah, we had 2 really soggy, wet locations on our campus, and we've actually dug those sites out. We've laid them with gravel, small pea gravel, and incorporated sand and some additional topsoil to it. And then we planted only native plants, so now it's actually a full-service flowering rain garden for native butterflies and insects, which are great. Again, you can go outside and put some blooms, and you can count all kinds of seed counts and what have you. We did use native species. We only use native plants. We did have some weeds that did come in with some soil that we got from the river, but that gave students a chance to realize, a weed is just a plant out of place, and needs to come out, and then the violet that was growing next to it will be much better. So there's a thing on competition also. And our plants, Kim, I can post with Julie a link for a catalog. There's several catalogs local to our area, which is the Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia region. And I'm sure that if you, depending on where you live across the globe, across the country, you could probably find a local vendor who is raising native plants. And then Rick, can you log into the Globe website as an institution for data entry? Yes, that probably Julie would be better to field that one, so maybe I'll put that one to Julie. I do not have a soils probe. I do have a soil thermometer, and we are actually digging a small soils pit, but it has to be, we can only dig it and use it a little bit during the day, and then it has to be covered back up again. And I would love to dig a full-size pit and leave it out for about a week, but I don't know, I'm kind of nervous about asking to do that right now. So it has crossed my mind, though.
We both do the Envirothon competition, and one of the parts of the Envirothon competition is a soil pit and soil analysis. So it'd be great to have a soil pit. But, we kind of try not to, I guess, shock our administrators by asking them to do strange things like build a big pit in the yard.
But Leigh's going to start composting. And
yeah.
So that's pretty neat. And I think kids need to realize, we can do things like that as a class even.
We have a greenhouse here on our campus, and we will be doing some composting and vermiculture, and having the students actually contribute to the compost pile from the cafeteria. So, yeah.
And the soils protocols, we're working right now on just a sand, silt, and clay with the soils triangle, which is difficult for kids. We're just working through that right now. We did a little bit of that last year. We're doing NPK tests. We are trying to identify porosity and permeability. So that, in and of itself, we're doing and collecting soil temperature data. And beyond that, my goal is to get through the whole soils protocol. I think that we can do that probably pretty easily here through November as far as data collection goes. We should be in pretty good shape there. And thank you. The activities are great, and I can't say enough about having these data tables laid out. From a teacher's perspective, from a time perspective, I would not physically be able to sit down and type up all these data tables. So I love that these are here. How we gather that data, I guess each one of us has to tweak that just a little bit, trying to organize, kids. My kids are getting, like, after a month of school, we've been in class about a month, they're just kind of getting the hang of, behaving better. They want to go out. I don't threaten them, but I say, I have a very large textbook that you can look at if you like, and they go, oh, no, let's go back out. Let's get, let's keep going. And so it's a very good incentive for them. And I work with 7th through 12th grade. So I know Leigh's working with older students, and it is easier if you have a high school class, but middle schoolers are really on board. My picture on the top, those are my middle schoolers, and with the exception of the 4 of us on the right, and then the lower picture are my high school students. Rain garden at the bottom. No, it is not at the bottom of a bank, but we did have a sloping area, and that's why the water was puddling there. So we've actually, where the girl on the right is standing in the khaki pants, just to the right of that, we've actually laid some stone that I actually had students come in over the summer to do. I put an APB out that we needed some help, and I had 5 or 6 of my students, some of my Envirothon students, come out, volunteer on a weekday, even after school got out, which was pretty cool. So we were able to do that. Yes, we have used soil sieves. That's great. And one of the things that we did was we used a collected soil sample, and we had them actually sift through it, and to realize how fine the material is. And that is, yes, that is definitely one thing that we've tried to do. We have a pretty moderate size set of sieves. We have 3 sets. I know they make some really high-end ones, and that eventually that would be really nice to have the larger ones. But small plastic ones have been they're pretty economical and pretty easy to use. Yeah, and Amy, I agree. Just getting them to actually realize, wow, there's a lot of stuff in the soil, and twigs and whatnot, and rocks and stones and real fine grain material. And they're getting the hang of that. Like now I can say things like, yeah, clay is what? And they'll say, really fine grain, and I love that. So it's pretty neat.
So any other questions? Julie, what do you think? We've gone over our time
great.
allotment.
Thank you. I'm going to...
Thanks.
Thanks.
My slides, but one more slide to show you. Okay, so a few reminders. Don't forget our next webinar is 26th September 2012. It's also Wednesday, and it's at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. I will send out the same reminders beforehand, including times for everybody. And our career speaker is Matt Fenzel, and he's actually a Globe alumni. He was with Globe when he was a student, and now is, I believe, an engineer. He's talking about his experiences with Globe as a student, and also his experiences now in the real world. So our teacher presenters will be Sarah, Carlos, Julia, and Lauren from Florida, and then Aaron, Ranjana, and Anne. And the last thing I wanted to mention was our calendar competition is ending here pretty soon. So September 30th is the deadline, and we've had some questions about ideas for calendar competition art, and some people think it'd be a great idea to have students illustrate themselves as climate scientists or doing Globe protocols, or what they do for Globe. So I will send out more information about ideas as well, and I'll write notes myself to do that. But yeah, that is it for tonight, and I will see you all soon. And again, Adobe Connect is open for your use. If you want to use it, let me know, and we can set up a time for you to log in and use it. And I will stick around for any questions as well. So thank you. Are there any other examples? We don't have any examples right now. I will see if I can find some examples. We're going to start sharing them on our social media as well as the Globe webpage too. So I'll get more information and send it out. Okay, again, thank you everybody. It was great talking to all of you tonight and seeing you online here.